Welcome everyone to Why Is This Happening to Me Again? Well, it says Michael Rice, but it's going to be with Jeanie Rice. Michael is listening in. And all these sessions are recorded and shared publicly to support others in these teachings. And I'm Yinka and I run Hear My Voice Book Club, which is an inspirational self-development books. I'm just going to quickly flip through the slides of what we've got on through the week. We've got 5 a.m. club. We have a transformational stories where it's a writing session, reality worksheets, which is tonight. And we have children's story times, and that's Fridays at 7. Saturday, insanities, we've got Jodie Spencer's meditation. On Sundays, we've got Qigong and another session of transformational stories. We have a monthly book club online, which is the first Thursday of every month. And our next one is a Return to Love. We have an in-person one in Manchester, and that is the second Thursday of the month at 10 a.m. And then we have our Jodie Spencer's one, which is the third Thursday of the month. And we have Michael Rice that joins us, second and fourth Thursday of the month as well. So there's something on every Thursday. We do have a course starting shortly, a Calling in the One, 7-week course. And we do have WhatsApp group to keep everyone connected. And Hear My Voice Book Club runs non-profit events that everyone can take part, regardless of financial status. Any donations, I asked to go directly to Michael and Jeanie tonight to support those and in these teachings as well. So if you feel appreciation or by the end of this session, you really want to support what they do, the information is there. Just go onto their website and you can click on the donations. I always like to start off the sessions with getting the body moving, shifting out any of the old energy that you might have carried through your day. So taking some nice deep breaths in, drawing up the shoulders. Big exhale. Nice deep breath in through the nose. Exhale the day away. One more time, nice deep breath in. And exhale. And if you're willing and able, just to give your body just a quick shake out, just get shift that body's energy and get it ready for tea. So Jeanie Rice is going to take the session today, who is Michael Rice's wife. And Jeanie has a BA in psychology and is a creative educator and guide with over 30 years of teaching experience. Jeanie is knowledgeable practitioner in the field of creative spiritual direction, self-healing, healing through relationships, anger and grief resolution, stress management, assistant identifying purpose, and especially the inner process of forgiveness. In her workshop, she addresses the physical, mental, and emotional and spiritual connection of the whole being. Jeanie offers one-to-one support services. She has also assisted Michael Rice in travel workshops and residential intensive at their teaching centre, and also joins us at the breath work that we do each month as well. And I'm sure she does lots of things behind the scenes for Michael too. So I'll let Jeanie introduce herself.
Hi, good to see you all. Michael's driving right now. He's actually listening, but he's driving to a workshop. So I offered to fill in if that was okay with everybody, and Yinka graciously said yes. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yes. And Nina has kindly volunteered, and she gets the special treatment of having Jeanie come for her first session. to do.
Good.
That's awesome. So you won't need to have the worksheet for those that haven't got the worksheet in front of you. It will be put all on screen. But you will need pens and paper. Actually, I'm just going to stop. Just going to mute everybody, and I'll just allow Gina and Nina to speak. I'm going to put you as a co-host, Nina, so then you can also unmute when you need to. But obviously, if anybody else has any questions, they can just put it in the chat, and when there's a space, I will ask Jeanie the question, or raise your hand, and if we get the chance, but either if it's not through it, it'll be at the end where you can ask questions. I'm just going to click mute. So then you'll have to unmute for those for Jeanie and Nina. So, okay, if you get your pens and papers ready for the reality management worksheet.
All right.
So just to quickly remind everyone, holding your breath is exactly how you acquire a past about something and carry it with you. Holding your breath attaches the pain of an experience to a reality in your mind. So remember to breathe. Whatever comes up, whatever triggers come up, to just breathe. How do you want to do it, Jeanie? Do you want me to read what's on the PowerPoint?
Sure.
And then you take it through it.
Okay.
So the reality management worksheet, my reality perceptual output constructed by my mind, wake up sheet, change your mind, change your life. The how-to of truth, Aramaic forgiveness, forgiveness, the tool for waking up from and changing my reality. Premise, my essential nature, my human life, my very being is love. Hold a newborn baby. The goal of this internal forgiveness wake-up sheet is to empower you to remove fear and or hostility and return me, which is you, to the direct experience of love 24/7, 365 days. And the first question is,
Okay.
and fully naming who I'm love.
So is it Nina or Nina? I apologize.
Nina.
Nina, have you done worksheets before?
No, I've never done any worksheet.
Okay. Let me just give you a little bit of information then. You know, when we hold a goal, and that's something that we want from someone else or from ourselves that is not happening, it creates stress. Okay, if say this hand is the way that it is, and this hand's the way I want it to be. If there's not a big difference, there's not a lot of stress. But if there's a great big difference between the way it is and the way I want it to be, there'll be a lot of stress. And the mind goes about trying to figure out, how can I relieve this stress? And the only way that you can do it is you either achieve the goal that you're holding or you cancel the goal. And then you just have the way that it is. And it's kind of like having blinders on. And when you cancel the goal, it removes the blinders. You know, the answer that we need may be right here, and we can't see it because we've got these fear or hostility blinders on. And so canceling the goal allows us to see what is keeping us from getting what we say we want. You know, we're co-creators. So if we say that there is something that we want and we don't have it, it's because there is a part of us somewhere that believes we can't have it, or we don't deserve it, or, you know, it'll never happen for me, or whatever. And so this helps us to look, you know, anytime there is some kind of upset, it's because you're holding a goal that you haven't achieved. And so it brings up stress, it brings up emotions. And emotions is just thoughts that are moving within you that, you know, and actually you can do a worksheet on good things. Like if you think that someone outside of you makes you feel happy, you can do a worksheet on that, because nothing outside of you can make you feel happy, sad, glad, afraid, or anything. But if we hold a reality that's connected to a past event, then that will trigger that upset in us. So this wake up sheet helps us to identify a certain situation. Everybody wants to be specific with one situation. So this says I, and in your case, Nina, everybody else fills in your own name there, who am love. That is who you are. That's the stuff you're made of. Excuse me. You know, if you think about, and for people who have never held a newborn baby, think of a newborn kitten or newborn puppy, any new life. Excuse me, I just got a tickle in my throat. Timing. And, but that's who you are. It's the stuff you're made of. If you think of holding that newborn life and you put a descriptor to it, how would you describe the essence of that newborn? Not that, you know, it's vulnerable or fragile or that it's crying or whatever, but its essence. How would you describe that? That's for you, Nina.
Have
you ever held a baby?
My own, yes.
Okay.
It was the most beautiful thing ever. If I
Okay.
was to go back into that feeling, it was joy in one
Yeah.
word. It was joyful. It was as if, you know, that bliss just ran through my body, just thinking about that again. Just
Right.
holding that little baby after a long labor and just seeing how a life was created. It was joyful.
Well, that's who you are. That's who we all are. But what happens is usually around the age of 3 or 4, we start thinking, oh, I'm not enough just being who I am. I need to do something or be something else for somebody to approve of me. And we mix up approval for love. And then we go around looking for love in all the wrong places when it's actually who we are. And so this wake up sheet is about getting back to who we are and letting go of everything that's keeping us from realizing that's who we are. So I, Nina, who am love, am experiencing. So what's the emotion that you want to work on?
I have a hard time pinpointing this emotion.
Okay.
I don't know what this emotion is. I couldn't figure it out.
Okay, let's do, this is what I call backing into a worksheet. So what incident or what, you know, event are we going to work on? What happened?
So it's regarding me and my mom.
Okay.
And I love her to bits, but her behavior kind of gets into the way of building a bond and building harmony. So for example, I was out with my friend having coffee, and this is just a recent event. And I put my phone on silent because it was my friend's birthday and I was there for 2 hours. I wanted to give her space, and I opened my phone 2 hours later with 11 to 15 missed calls and messages that were like out of the whack, very reactive. And I called her right away. And what I realize is when her tone is really high and she is yelling and screaming because I left my dog at home and the dog was barking, and she's like, you never told me if you took him out for pee and poo. And here I just celebrated my friend's birthday. I was really grounded and I was really in a good mood. And her yelling and screaming, I just got so anxious that I came home. I didn't say anything over the phone, but I came home and I said, and I just could not handle it anymore. I went into her room and I'm like, what is this drama all about? What words? You could have just taken him out for pee rather than just create. So the way she creates it all, and I'm going to use the word she because really, and not just her, anybody who creates this out of,
Blows it out of proportion.
Proportion is the right word. Thank you. Out of proportion and just, you know, it just shakes my nervous system, I feel.
Okay.
I
I
start
think you
trembling.
tagged your emotion when you were telling the story and you said you were anxious.
Okay. Yes. Anxious.
Okay. So in the emotion, then you're going to put, and that's 1B on the worksheet, you're going
Okay.
to put anxious or anxiety.
Okay.
Okay. And so then where it's got, okay, I'll wait until the slide changes. But then there's a place on there for, okay, I'm getting ahead of myself there. So you want to date it and put what sheet number. Some of these don't, the one I've got in my hand didn't have a date. There we go. Okay. Some people keep their worksheets and like put them in a 3-ring binder or something like that. Later go back and look at them again. Other people do not keep them at all. So it's just up to you whether you want to or not. But there's a gentleman that Michael's been working with that's over 2,000 worksheets now. And he's been keeping them and numbering them and going through it. But you want to note, so when the event happened, what was your emotional upset level from 0 to 10?
Oh,
Probably
that
a
was
12.
definitely, yeah, I would say 10. Yeah, I was very, 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 it created a whole thing where my mom screamed on top of me and she said really hurtful things to me that day. It just
Okay.
did not end in the direction that I
Okay.
wanted it to end.
Let me just add something there, and I may be jumping ahead on this. But nothing outside of us, like I said earlier, can make you happy or sad or anxious or whatever. But if you have that in you, it will trigger it. And so, like anxiety, you've said that it's not just your mom, that it's other people anytime. So it's like, sounds like conflict is
Yes.
a trigger. And
Conflict is a trigger, yes.
so there's probably, it's like we have file folders in our mind. And so let's say, for instance, maybe you were 3 and there was a conflict and you were fearful because at that age, oh, my survival depends on this person. And it might have been mom, even at that time, for her to be sane. So you might have gotten anxious about, am I going to survive her being like this? And so you connected the file folders together. Like if I say, and I'm sure Michael's used this before, if I say, you've got a file on colors and you've got a file on animals. So if I say, don't think about a purple alligator. I took a purple out of your color folder and alligator out of your animal folder. Now they're linked. So if later in this session or even tomorrow, I would say, don't think about a purple, immediately alligator is going to come up because they're linked together now. There's a neural pathways in your mind. So you've possibly, and I'm just using it as a scenario, at 3, say mom had, an upset and you got anxious because it was like, oh no, I won't survive this. Then, and not knowing that we could break those connections later, all through life or whatever, anytime somebody raised some kind of conflict or raised their voice or started creating chaos out of what was peaceful, it's automatically linked to that, oh no, I need to be anxious folder. They're hooked together. So anything that we feel is basically out of our past and it's connected to a past event. I'll give you a little exercise that you can do, anybody, when you're facing, something that you're anxious or you're, angry or fearful or whatever, is to get yourself to come back present because you're reacting out of a past event and you're making it a present event, and it may not be. So you breathe, use all of your senses, your sight, your hearing, your smell, your taste, your feel, touch. And so you think, okay, what can I see right now? Okay, I can see the curtains. Okay, what can I hear? I can hear the fan running. What can I feel? I can feel my sweater. And you walk through your senses at something present in that moment. And you can do this in your mind without actually physically doing it, but you can also physically do it. But what it is an exercise to bring you back to the present. I'm reacting out of what happened in the past, projecting that this is what's going to happen. Things are going to be chaotic. And it may be, and it may not be. But we can be the observer and not be emotionally attached. So if you could stay connected and breathe and stay present, you might have walked in and said, Mom, can I support you in your upset? What's going on for you?
I think what it is it's what I see is I've been doing it for a while now. I
Yep.
go in there and I say, like, now I feel that I am done being her mother.
Mm,
And now I feel I am at, that's one thing I did with her for the longest time, where I would be like, Mom, what is wrong? Like, I would keep my volume low. I will keep it calm and help her. But it's become so common that I feel like I lost that somewhere. And it was more like, this is not getting anywhere because it's just become a pattern every second day. So I was like, let me try the other way, where I was like, okay, you want some drama? Let's see where this ends.
Okay. And that may work for a while. However, realize that whatever we give out, we actually get the original. So like when you're giving her the drama and you're like, Mom, what are you doing? I mean, like,
Yeah.
think of what it does in your body. You know, our mind, body, spirit, emotions, everything is connected. And so think of when you get like that, does your body tense up? Does your neck tense up? Does your stomach hurt?
Yeah.
It's hard to breathe. So see, you're getting the physical effects of showing it to her.
Yeah, for next 3 days, I couldn't be myself because I cried. I was sad after. I regret what I created. I totally did. And next 3 days, I could feel that in my body everywhere.
Yeah. So you get the original, they just get a carbon copy. And she may not have cared. You know, she may have been in a space of, you know, go ahead, yell at me, that's okay. You know, it's like some people, you know, they may, you know, do something so that they get a beating from their parents because at least they're getting attention. You know, and so
Mm.
you're actually creating pain in your body to try to prove a point to her, and she didn't even receive it. So
I ended up getting more pain because
yeah,
she said some hurtful stuff after, and I took that on for next 3 days. So I ended up with more pain.
so it's not worth it.
It wasn't
Okay.
worth it.
So we're going to use this situation. So Mom is the object of your attention. That's one C. Oh, I'm getting ahead of myself again. Go ahead, Yanka. Oh, here. My apologies. So you kind of did an emote when you were telling the story, and you kind of did like this. So you might draw a stick figure going, you know, like that, or a face, you know, going, or, so you can draw a picture
Yeah,
here.
my hands were like, yeah.
So this is a little place on the worksheet where you can draw it, because sometimes, you know, it's like, especially if you're doing worksheets with children and they can't quite put a name to their emotion, but they could draw it, even if it's like scribbles or black it out or whatever, you know. So that's often a really cool little feature. I actually did one time, and it was on clutter, and I drew a stick figure in the middle, and then I drew boxes and papers and all these things around it. And I drew so much stuff that you couldn't even see the stick figure. And what that told me, just after finishing the drawing, I was like, okay, I feel like I disappear. And I realized that yes, there's outside clutter, but it's also like an inside clutter, an inside chaos. And that I needed to find who I was and step forth instead of just getting lost in the atmosphere. So that little box can come in real handy, so you can draw your emotions.
I've drawn it on my notebook.
Okay. And it says if, go ahead.
Want to read this out?
Go ahead. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So my denial displaces my experience of myself as my essence love, and my mind tells me that my emotions are caused by my trigger. Who are you focused on? And my perception story.
Okay, so there you've already said it's your mom, and that she just made chaos out of an event and conflict. That's what you would fill in 1C.
Should I say mom or should I write her name?
Whichever you prefer to call her in this.
Yeah.
I would put it this way, they'll probably resonate something different. So like if you were doing it and called her mom, there would be more that personal connection. If you wanted to call her, it actually could be any her. It could be, every her in the world or him. So whatever you feel like in this worksheet you want to address. Or you could put her name. And breathe. Holding the breath is how we keep it down because we don't want to go there. We don't want to look at it. And it's safe. Go ahead.
So the truth is, only my thoughts cause my emotional upset. Breathe. The thought, a separate wake-up sheet for each thought I use to cause my emotion to 1B is. So what is
okay? So you would have, like say that you had different feelings, anxious, afraid, sad, mad. All of those would have different thoughts behind them. If it's fear, the thought might be, she's going to hurt me. The anxious might be, how am I going to survive this? The sad might be, oh, why is she in such a state? So there'll be a different thought behind the emotion. So you said anxious a couple of times, so we're going to use that word. So what's your thought that creates the emotion of anxious?
If I just go to that one event again, I would say my thought continuously, even when I was driving back home, there was this conversation going on within myself. And the conversation was, when is this going to end?
Okay.
What is the solution to this? How long am I going to have to put up with this?
Okay.
Those were the thoughts that came from home.
Okay, so write those down. And actually, you could separate that, but they're kind of the same. When will it end? And how long am I going to have to do this? But so put one of those down as the thought behind the emotion of anxious. And breathe. Take a breath. No. There you go. There you go.
So 1E, I want to punish by. So it's 1C by, or yourself by.
So punishment might not be something you would really do, but what runs through your mind that you would want to do? And I think you already did one that was yell back.
I feel after I read the statement, I think my real go-to is punishment.
So what would that punishment for her be? And what would the punishment for you
Her
be?
punishment from me was me yelling at her, me
Okay.
trying to tell her to behave better, me not talking. I haven't spoken to her since then. It's been more than 2 months now.
More than how long?
2 months. I haven't spoken to her. Okay. And I want to tell you this. after this happened, I enrolled myself in a course because I want to get a job and leave the house. So that's my, and now I realize this is my way of punishing her. And this is my go-to when I get triggered, is punishing others.
It's, also, it sounds like for a better term, a running, like running away, getting away, withdrawing.
Withdrawing.
And that is punishment for her, but it's also punishment for you. I don't know about, where do you live? What, are you in the States or what country?
I'm in Canada, sorry.
Oh, okay. That's where Michael's from. So here in the States, one of the worst punishments in prison is to put somebody in solitary confinement, to remove them from contact with other people. And, when we withdraw, I mean, we may physically stay in the same place, but if we withdraw emotionally or mentally from another person, that is a punishment. A lot of people get to this part in the worksheet and they're like, oh, I don't punish anybody, and withdrawing or avoiding is punishment as much as yelling. And, one of the things, this made me think of a worksheet that I had done. And, like in this case, the punishment to her would be leaving. And the punishment to myself would be by staying. Take a breath and think about that. So if you leave, it'll punish her. Huh?
Help me understand, please. I couldn't wrap my head.
So if you leave, you would see it as I'm punishing her by leaving her. She'll be alone. I'll punish myself by staying in it. Just keep on taking it. So that's a house divided against itself because you've got two thoughts going on. I want to leave. I want to stay. I'm going to go. No, I'm not going to go. But withdrawing from her is punishing her, but it's also punishing you. Take a breath. Take a breath. I need one. Okay.
So I'm willing to process all dis-ease. I go through the physical, mental, and emotional symptoms of healing, and breathe.
Now, what that one is saying, we are energy. And if we put energies into our system that don't belong, like fear, anger, anxiety, whatever, it creates symptoms. The anxiety, might mean that your stomach hurts, or that you can't hardly breathe, or, whatever. As you're healing, as you get more vital and that energy is moving out of you, it can create the exact same symptoms. It might look the same. You have to be conscious and aware that, okay, I'm healing. I'm doing my work around this. It's getting better. This energy is leaving me, not coming into me. And don't get lost in the symptoms, because then you can recreate it. I'll give an example of a few months back. My throat hurt. I couldn't hardly swallow. It was like craziness. And I went to the doctor. They tested me for COVID and strep and all these other things, and nothing showed up. And in my mind, I thought the last time I felt this bad in my throat was when I was 15 and had mono. And so I asked the doctor, I said, take a blood test and test me for mono. And they did. And she said, it came back, yes, it's mono, but it's not a current state. So it was when I was 15 and I finally had gotten vital enough to look at the issues around. At that time, I wanted to leave home. You know, all kinds of things were going on. And so I finally had gotten vital enough to look at those issues and process them. And so as those energies are leaving, it created the exact same symptoms as I had when I was 15 and had mono. I could have gotten lost in it and let them, you know, give me drugs, steroids, or whatever to take care of it. But thankfully, I've got a doctor that is aware and believes, like we do, that it's energetic. And so I actually had her give me an IV drip with vitamin C in it. So just to build my immunity and to rehydrate me, because I wasn't drinking enough water either. And so I didn't get lost in the symptoms of it. I could have and recreated the whole mess and done drugs and, you know, that they wanted to give me and everything but I didn't. So you've got to watch when the symptoms start coming back up. You know, so as a child, if you could think back to a time early time between you and mom when there was chaos and you were anxious, you know, what kind of physical things or mental things did you have? You probably are feeling,
Anxiety.
you're
I
feeling
used
them
to have
again.
panic attacks as a child,
Okay.
and then I developed backaches, which are still there.
Okay. So realize now your mom is actually just giving you the opportunity to look at those once again, the things that you took on when you were a child. And, you know, getting rid of mom is not going to take care of it because you're carrying it around inside of you. And wherever you go, it goes. So, and I saw Michael turn his camera on. I don't know if he wanted to add something at this moment. No?
I'll just make sure he's the co-host. So
You'll have to unmute Michael.
Oh, but there, let me make you your co-host now. So you can unmute.
So
But
when
keep
you
your
say
eyes
that
on the
your back,
road.
when you say that your back pain is still there, what you're telling yourself is the rage that you felt in those early times with your mother is still there. And that's something you've been hiding from yourself since that childhood experience. And a while ago, you said that your mother said hurtful things to you. My offering would be, remember our definition of denial. When I think or speak, there's just something outside of me is the cause of what's moving inside of me, then I'm in denial. When I'm in denial, I dissociate from and hide from myself what it is that's causing my pain. Now, my offering would be, your mother has never said anything hurtful to you in your life, but you have hurt in you, which you keep hidden from yourself. One of those hurts is that unconscious rage that caused you back pain, I suspect. And so mother gives you the gift of resonating that for you and showing it to you. And you can, when it comes up, you can stay in denial, keep speaking about how she is doing this to you, or you can stop and go, mom said some things which I interpret as nasty. And what that brought up for me is old feelings of inadequacy or thoughts about not being enough, whatever that is.
Unwanted.
And as you own that, say again?
Unwanted.
Unwanted. So there's where your work is. So mom, if she says words that resonate, that's when you'll say she said hurtful things. But the hurt comes from what's going on inside of you. Nobody with their words can hurt you, but they can sure resonate your hurt. And then the other one other piece.
Deeper into it so that I can
say again.
Can I go a little deeper into it? I would like to understand it on a different level.
Go for it.
So I'm just going to share what she said. So just so that I can get the gist of what you're trying to help me with is what she said was, I knew you were no good, and that's why I told your father not to have a child ever. I never wanted you in the first place. You've never given me any joy. So that does remind me of a time when I was little and neglected. And I used to feel that she didn't want me from the get-go. So when you say that if she says something, her words cannot hurt me, what I'm thinking is, how can her words not hurt me when she regrets having me.
Well, here's how. If there's no hurt in you to be resonated by her words, you'll go, gee, Mom, that sounds like it's coming from a really painful place in you. Doesn't have anything to do with me, but I can sure that see that that's pretty intense for you. Now, people take that sort of thing personally, and they can pretend that their pain is caused by what's happening out there. But it's just not. I mean, air molecules moving as a result of somebody's voice box moving cannot hurt me. But if it resonates something in me, and you know, it might be something you even received from her genetically, and she's speaking from her old hurt, which was perhaps generationally passed on to you. When that hurt comes up, if you walk away from the situation talking to yourself about your hurt and how you're going to resolve it, then you'll free yourself of it. You'll be able to access and forgive that hurt. And if you stay in the conversation about how she said the things that hurt you, then you'll stay in a dissociated state with that hurt, and it will go on and on and on. And wherever it's stored in tissue, i.e. your spine, it will tend to cause degeneration in that tissue. And notice that your punishment is to leave. And so how did it feel when your power person abandoned you or left you? You just shared that, but notice that you're repeating the pattern.
Yeah, I'm trying to walk away from her, leaving her alone so she can value.
So by
that.
abandoning her, you're doing to her exactly what she as your power person did to you, which says to me that you're under a great deal of stress. And remember, with the power person dynamic, when I'm under a lot of stress, I'll do whatever my power person, my mind will prompt me to do whatever my power person did to me that I hated the most. And instead, what you want to do is forgive. That's what this worksheet is about, is cleaning that up in yourself that surfaced in you. Have you watched the workshop? Why is this happening to me again?
Yes, I did. I watched
Oh,
it
good.
until the beginning, the first section of the worksheet.
Awesome. So it sounds like there's a really critical piece of work ready to be done around you and your mother. And we're here to hold space for that healing to happen. And surprise of surprises, when you shift that energy in you, you'll probably open a space for your mom to deal with some of the pain that she's come from in her life. And you're both going to share a major shift.
Let me give you an example of how that works. I don't know if you've ever played what we called tug of war, tug of rope. Somebody has one end and another person has the other end, and you're pulling back and forth. So if you're playing that game and you drop your end of the rope, it changes the other person's game, whether they want it to or not. So if you have fear and mom has anger, and anger is just a drug that's probably covering her fear that resonates with your fear. But if you don't respond, see, she needs to heal that in her the same as you need to heal it in you. And we resonate. We bring people that will show it to us. And so if you heal the anxiety and fear within you, then it's like dropping your end of the rope. So she still needs somebody to respond to her anger or her whatever, her chaos. And if you don't respond, she will change her game because she's not getting that feedback from you. She'll either change too, or she'll go do it to somebody else that'll give her that feedback. Either way, it will change your world. By dealing, you can't change her, but you can change you and how you react.
Yeah, I think that's what my struggle right now is. When she goes into that headspace 10 times a day, I go into my automated response, and my response is like, enough. I've had enough of this now.
And so
Like,
we're going to
there's-
change that.
Yeah, and that's where my struggle is. I'm not able to change. There's moments of wisdom where I'm like, okay, I'm gonna show up better next time. But when that all hits, I don't know where it all goes.
Well, and you know, you've just admitted that this has been going on like all of your life.
Yeah.
So we're not going to get it, probably not going to clean it up with one worksheet. We might, but but you've been a lifetime creating this anxiety and stuff. So it takes a little bit of time. Be gentle with yourself. You know, this is your first worksheet. So just breathe and be gentle with yourself. You're not going to get it all in one whack. There you go. Good breath. Good breath. So what this sentence that's on the board now is saying is that all of these energies that went into you over a long time, the fear and anxiety and all those things, when you start healing them, you may feel those same physical, mental, emotional symptoms and being willing to go through it. You wouldn't believe how many people are like, well, I don't care if this is going to heal me. I don't want to go through that again. But you can look at it this way. You survived it on the way in, and now it's just a memory of pain. It's not the actual pain that you experienced to start with. It's the memory of the pain, and you survived the energy coming in. You will survive it as it's going out. So that's a good thought. And another thing is there is an automatic suppress mechanism that if we are not vital enough to deal with something, our body mind unit will not show it to us. So if it's in your face right now, you can be assured that you're vital enough to handle it, or it wouldn't be in your face right now. So that's a good thing.
Oh my God, that's one thing I have been questioning. That's one thing I had been questioning, that if it is in present right now, I am sure there's something that I'm not getting a hang of. Like, for the longest time, she was out of my space. For the longest time, she was out of my space. 4 months ago, she moved in my space. So I was like, if she's been thrown at me, there's something that I'm not able to put my
No,
finger on.
it's actually that you are able to do it. You are now vital enough to deal with it. And so this statement is, you just do a check mark. Yes, I'm willing to process this. I am willing to go through this. Okay. It's a nice smile. It looks good on you.
So 3A, my desire, the constructive result, the exact goal that drives my pain perception that I want. 1C, my trigger. 2.
So what is it in this one? Just think of this one situation. You know, a lot of people, they'll get here and they'll have a massive goal, like, I just want the world to be nice. But you want to be specific. So you walked in on that day and your mom was making it big chaos. What did you want from her right then?
I just wanted her to step into herself and self-regulate.
Okay.
I just wanted her
Self-regulate.
to self-regulate and talk to me in a calmer tone.
Okay. And so well, I'll wait till she switches. Okay, so that's your goal in 1A. So that I can. I love this one. So you want her to self-regulate and talk in a calmer tone so that I can what?
So that I can actually have a conversation with her and resolve her, communicate with her that, you know, there were other solutions that we could have done rather than you, so that she could see how she created it.
Okay, but this is so that you can. And you were talking about being anxious, so it might be more like, so that I can be calm.
Yeah, so what I get from it is harmony. So I can have harmony in the house.
Okay, so that's your, so that I can have harmony.
Yeah.
and breathe.
And I choose love, my essence, which stirs love, the love in everyone involved.
There's a story, it's actually on our website, called Christian the Lion. And it's about this lion cub that these two guys in England, they raised it. And when it got too big for them to keep in their apartment, then they took it to a preserve where it could live out the rest of its life or whatever. And so they took it there, and it's a video, and it's very moving. And so the next year they went to visit it, and it was tagged. And so the person that took care of the preserve, they knew about where it was and everything. And they were like, but you know, it's a wild lion now. And they were like, well, we still want to see it. So they go out, and then, you know, they're hollering for it. Its name's Christian. And so they're hollering, Christian, Christian. And there's this, shows this lion coming down the hill, and you kind of think, I hope it's the right lion, you know. And it comes down, and it just jumps up and wraps its paws around them and licks on them and rubs on them. It remembers them. But then what's amazing is its mate, who was a totally wild lioness, she comes down with him with her cubs. And because the Christian the lion had such emotion and cherishing for these two guys, and them with the lion as well, she tapped into that love, and she walked up and let them pet her. And the babies let them pet them. Because Christian held such a loving space towards these two humans that she just fell right into it. This says, if you choose to stay connected to your love, who you are, it will wake up that in everybody that's in your space. If you could stay connected to love and go into your mom's space, she might attempt to go into her fit, but if she doesn't get that feedback, she'll tap into that love and she'll calm. She won't know what hit her, but it'll happen. It's amazing. And we have right there, that might be the next slide, the rose and the butterfly.
Yes. Do you want me to read it, or do you want to read it?
Sure, go for it.
Imagine we have a rose and a butterfly, and we give them each an ego. They meet and fall in love and have a wonderful time together. Then one day the butterfly flies away because the rose thinks there was nothing more important than the love of the butterfly. It uproots itself to give chase. What is going to happen to the rose? It dies. Why does it die? Because it made something else more important than staying connected to its source. Anytime we make something else more important than staying connected to our source, our being love, then we have disconnected and initiate our own death.
So just like you were saying, when you disconnected, you know, you had been in a loving space with your friend, you got home, you disconnected. You can say it was because mom threw a fit, but that triggered it. But when you disconnected, you know, you already admitted how much pain for the next 3 days your body went through. You deserve better than that. Mom deserves better than that, but you get the original, and you sure don't need to disconnect and cause yourself all of that pain and stuff, mentally, physically, emotionally. And so it's like the rose pulling itself up out of the ground to chase the butterfly. It's not going to get to the butterfly because it's going to die before it ever gets there. And it's the same with us. When we think my anger at mom or my anxiety or holding on to this or that is more important, getting my point across is more important than staying connected to who I am, then we actually begin a deterioration in our body, in our structure, mentally, emotionally, physically.
I have a
So-
question.
Sure.
When you live with somebody like that in the household, how do you stay connected in those moments when everything is a turmoil?
It takes practice. It's, you know, you might fail 100 times. There is a movie. I don't know why it just popped in my mind. If you've never seen it, it's an older movie. It's called Amish Grace. And it's a true story. I believe it's in Pennsylvania, where this gentleman goes into this Amish school. He ends up killing, I think, 10 of the children and then kills himself. And the Amish community actually even go to the man's wife, the widow, and offer support to help her. And the woman's like, after what my husband did to your children, how can you forgive? How can you be like this? And one woman said, sometimes I have to go through, and of course they use forgiveness in a different way than we do, but said, sometimes I have to forgive 10 times a minute, 100 times a minute. So it just takes practice. It takes staying with it. And, you know, it's everybody has their own decision choice to make. You know, it might come a time when you say, you know, okay, I really need to take care of me. I can't, you know, stay in this space. It's abusive to me. I need better. You need better. And you make a choice to leave, to put yourself in another place, but you do it from a connected space of love. You make that choice out of a loving space, not out of your fear or your hatred or your anxiety. Because if you make those kind of decisions or out of your fear or whatever your emotion is, you're guaranteed to reproduce it again with somebody else.
I have another question.
Sure.
She's my mother. So she
Right.
brought me to this planet.
Right.
And all I wanted ever was a loving, kind, harmonious relationship with her.
Have you
And I
told her that?
Sorry?
Have you told her that?
Yes. Yes. And that day I texted her. And I wrote a very beautiful text because she wasn't talking to me that day. So I sent her a very beautiful text and I said, Mom, I want you to grow with me. We've had this life all our lives where all we've seen is conflict and all we've seen is drama. And I am done with this. And I invite you to walk the path with me, is all I'm asking you for. I know I pushed your buttons and I triggered you, but that was not my motive. My motive was I just wanted you to know how much I love you and that I want to build this bond with you. No response at all for almost 2 months.
Take a breath right now. Take a big breath. Be with it. Feel it. You don't want to stuff it down, but be with it and take a breath. What's the thought right now behind the tears? And Michael, you're unmuted. Go for it.
I feel like she doesn't want it. It's just me who wants it. She doesn't. So unwanted comes up again.
Keep breathing. So this goal is probably your core worksheet, and it's the one that you're going to do 77 times 70 times to process through all of that pain. And the goal that you mentioned earlier of being a kid, of just being warmly embraced and accepted, that's the goal you're going to have to cancel to clear this pain out of your mind.
But why? Why do I have to cancel that? I'm her daughter. She brought me to this planet. Why do I have to cancel that goal when that's the only thing I desire from my mother?
Because every time you put that goal into your mind, it resonates your unresolved pain. And if you don't clean up your unresolved pain, then you're going to tend to just continue the dynamic that was established with your mother. So you're not canceling it because you don't want it. And once you cancel it and do the work around it, doesn't mean you can't reestablish the goal. But as often as you load that goal in your mind, and it resonates pain for you, then that's your work. And it's got nothing to do with your mother now. That's your work to do. Now you can say, I don't want to do that work. And it's like, well, then, you know, nobody says you have to do that work. But until you resolve that pain that you carry, which is probably the perfect match for the pain that she carried with her power person, which was probably the perfect match for the pain that her power person carried with whatever his or her power person was, until somebody in the family system says, I'm going to face this and I'm going to clean this out. And this is how you clean it out. And if somebody doesn't step up and clean it out, then it's just going to continue in your family system. And if you have a child, you can bet the game's going to, no matter how much you say, oh, if I have a child, I'm going to cherish her and honor her and always embrace her. When the stress is up and the chips are down, if you don't work out this power person dynamic, you're going to do to your child exactly what your mother did to you. That's how the mind works.
And I want to be that person that changes this family dynamic. I definitely
Then that's why you're going to cancel that goal very likely. You know, when they said to Yeshua, well, how many of these darn worksheets do we need to do? Is 7 enough? His answer in Aramaic was no. It was 77 times 70. You're going to do an infinite amount of work until you've cleaned this out of your mind, your emotions, and your
I have
spine.
work. What do you mean?
Say it again.
When you say I have to do work on it, what does that mean?
I mean, this is the goal that you're going to put on 77 times 70 different worksheets until you process through all of it. You're going to go inside and do your work, a work that has virtually not been known on the planet for thousands of years. Our buddy just said, oh, well, just forgive her, just forgive her, just forgive her. Well, you can let her off the hook. You can pardon her till the cows come home. It's not going to change the pain that's inside of you. If you want to change the pain that's inside of you, this worksheet is how it's done. And you can't figure out why that is. You know, the number one, what I call the number one pseudo solution of the non-being mind is, well, if I could just figure this out. Dear heart, you can't figure this out. There is no logic and no reason to it. You're going to have to do the work if you're going to get free of it.
So, Michael, I have been trying to figure it out since I was a little child. I've been trying to figure it out with my father. I've been trying to figure it. Sorry?
You ready to stop trying to figure it out?
Yeah, but my question is then, I have learned otherwise. I've learned never to give up. And this feels like trying to give up on something.
Oh, this is the exact thought. No. This is growing up and taking responsibility for the pain in your own mind and doing your work to clean it up. Your ego gives you the excuse or the story, oh, well, this means I quit. No, this is a very proactive process. If every time your pain comes up and it's around the goal of your mother embracing you and accepting you warmly, which I think is the underlying goal that ultimately you're going to work with, until you clean out the pain in your mind that goal resonates in you, you're going to have that pain in you. And if you were to sit down with her, I could just about guarantee, if you got down to the root of it and got a really honest conversation, she'd tell you the story about how she wanted to be embraced by her power person, who wanted to be embraced by her power person, who wanted to be embraced by who wanted to. This didn't start with you, dear heart, but it can end with you. But you will never figure out. Never. Figuring it out is the booby prize, but you can forgive it. And every time you load that goal, every time you get in your mother's space and you say, oh, I just want her to embrace me and honor me and cherish me, and she doesn't, and up comes the next layer of pain, that's the next piece of work for you to do. And to cancel that goal, to collapse that construct of your mind. Remember, this pain that you're experiencing is a construct that comes out of your carbon-based memory and exists only in your mind. If you want to get rid of it from your mind, this is how it is done.
So when he was saying, are you ready to quit? He meant quit trying to figure it out. He didn't mean to quit doing the work.
I mean, what I meant was quitting on my goal of having this relationship with her, like letting that go, like that feels like it just sounds so painful. Because that's what I think, having that family was one thing I always desired, and letting that go feels like, what am I gonna have then?
And
So-
we're only,
So,
go ahead.
go ahead, sweetie.
We're only going to let it go, cancel the goal for a moment to see what's under it. See, it's like when I said you've got blinders on, and so all you could see is, I want her to embrace me. I want her to cherish me. You know, I want her to be warm with me. But you've got these blinders on, and it's like, she never has been. It's never going to happen for me. She won't give that to me, you know. And so canceling the goal to have that takes those blinders off so that you can see what part is keeping me from achieving that goal. If we're creators, then why have you not created her to be warmly embracing towards you? Because there's some part of you, probably from the child, that wanted it from her and didn't get it. But there's a part of you that says, she's not going to give that to me. And until you can get rid of that, you're constantly sending out an energy that says, you know, don't embrace me warmly, don't cherish me, don't want me, you know. And so you've got to clean that part up, and then you will draw in different emotions from her and everybody else. Because you said that earlier that it wasn't just your mom. So you've received some kind of message of you're not acceptable from other people too, or that they create chaos to keep you from staying in your connected space. It's like you're uprooting, you know, to give their chaos more energy than you need to give it. And so we're canceling the goal just temporarily. You can reset it later, but you can't see the part of you that's keeping you from achieving that goal until you cancel it and see what's underneath it.
And I suspect from your languaging that the underlying energy that you're going to ultimately have to embrace and work through is hatred.
And hatred and anger is a drug that covers the fear and the pain.
And what do you mean when you say it? Is hatred the
Sweetie.
underlying feeling here?
Listening, you know, when I listen to your speech, the fact that in the context of this conversation, the word hatred comes up, something that you're likely going to have to embrace in you in this healing process is going to be that hatred. That's going to have to be embraced in the presence of pure love in order for you to be freed of it. And remember, once again, I hear your mind, I hear you have a strong intellect, and you really want to figure this out. And figuring it out is the booby price. It will not get you anywhere. You cannot, you will never figure this out, but you can forgive it. And you may need to forgive as to this particular energy. It's such a big issue in your life. Many, 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 many times. Remember that the pain that you're experiencing now has nothing to do with your mother. The pain that you're experiencing is a construct in your mind, and you want to heal your mind's ability to produce that construct. This is the only consistent, persistent way I know of that you can do that. And if you'll take the tool and you'll use it consistently and persistently, there'll be a point where you'll come back and go, oh my God, I'm free of it. But you won't get free of it by trying to figure it out. I promise you. Are you breathing? Once again, remember that you're not canceling the goal because you can't have what you want. You're not canceling the goal because you don't want it. You're canceling the goal because you recognize every time you load that goal in your mind, it causes your mind to produce pain. And you want to collapse into that pain directly and process through it. And the only way you can do that is by bringing love present and collapsing into the root of that pain. Does that make sense?
It does.
So breathing with you. And do you know anything about your mother's relationship with her mom and dad?
Yes.
What was it like?
My mom didn't have a very good bond with them.
Did you say did or did not?
Did not. She saw her own mother as a victim of circumstances of life. She has a lot of experiences where she was bullied by her own brothers and sisters a lot. So, and as of today, she has absolutely no connection with any of her brothers or sisters. She's quite a loner.
No. So if you think back to all the relatives you know, mothers, fathers, grandmothers, grandfathers, aunts, uncles, cousins, is there anybody in the family system you can imagine could be cooperatively having this conversation with us right now?
No.
So then
No.
recognize that you're the early adopter in the family. You're the first one. That means you've chosen to do the piece of work that's required to do. And it's a big one. This is not going to be an easy piece of work for you to do. It's a major piece of work. But once you realize what's there to be done and you have the tools for doing it, what else is there to do but to do the work?
That brings me
And
to
this
a
is-
question: why me? Out of all the
Well, okay, so now we're back to figuring it out. It's time to end the conversation about figuring it out. You know what? We can talk for the next 2 weeks and you'd come up with another why, another why, another why, and another why, because your mind is very intellectual and you think you can figure it out. Sweetheart, you can't figure it out. That is the booby prize. Stop asking questions about why and start canceling the goals and cleaning up the pain. That would be my offering to you. Otherwise, we could do whys. We could be hours at this.
It's so funny because I had a very close friend. She used to call me Miss Figuring Out.
Called you
Say it
what?
again, Miss what?
Figuring out.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's it. She had your number. So now we've got your number. So we're going to stop trying to figure it out. And now what I'm going to suggest is you move forward and follow Jeanie's instructions and do this worksheet. Because the way you avoid your pain is by pretending that if you could just figure it out, then it would be handled.
Yeah.
And it won't be handled by figuring it out.
So based on that, before we move to the canceling part, let's change your goal. Instead of for her to self-regulate and talk calmer, change it to warmly embrace you.
Yeah, that self-regulate, it's like that you're locked way up there in your head. And you need to come out of your head and get into your heart. And the way you're going to get into your heart is by letting go of these goals that keep you locked in your head. She's going to self-regulate.
So if you think of your goal for her to warmly embrace you, what would the "so I can" part be? If she warmly embraced you so that I can
Figure it out.
So
feel cherished.
yeah, feel cherished, feel celebrated and loved, wanted, I guess.
Wanted, approved of, accepted.
So change it to that because that'll get more specific.
Each one of those are going to be worksheets that you'll do, goals you do. I'm going to cancel my need to be wanted. I'm going to cancel my need to be cherished. I'm going to cancel my need to be honored. I'm going to cancel my need to be desired. I'm going to cancel my need to be held as worthy of approval. They're all going to be shades of goals that ultimately you're going to have to do, I suspect, to work through this family dynamic that who knows how long it's been going on in the bloodline.
You can see if she was not bonded with her parents or her siblings or anything, then she really doesn't know how to bond with you. She's working out of her power person dynamics and how she was raised. And so, okay, let's move on to 5A.
And who knows, maybe you'll be the one that as you heal this, you will be able to fully embrace her and be the space in which she can begin to heal.
I would love that.
Well, we're here to hold the space for you to do that piece of work.
Thank you.
So 5A, when upset, my perception, my mind construct is built out of corrupt data, driven by my goal, 3. By cancelling that goal, the driver that selects the data that produces my reality, my errant perception collapses and I get to drop into the part of my mind hidden from me by pretense that others are responsible for what I have created again. And breathe. So all those that are on the call today, and if you're writing on your worksheet, remember to breathe. It says, if they are the one with the problem, why am I the one with the pain? 5A, action step. While holding love conscious, active and present, Rakma, I now choose to collapse my mind's lie by willingly cancelling my goal. Driver for 1C, 2 from 3A, and cancel my need to from 3B.
Okay, so you're going to cancel, you're going to bring that down. You're going to cancel your goal for your mom to warmly embrace you and cancel your goal to be wanted, cherished, accepted, whichever one of those is the strongest at the moment. Each one is a separate worksheet, but pick one. But you're going to bring those 2 goals down from 3. I cancel my goal for mom to warmly embrace me, and I cancel my goal to feel wanted. And breathe.
I'll go ahead with the next. So I invite, in Aramaic, Ruka Kadusha inclines me towards healing, restores me to my love, newborn essence love. Heal my denial, a capacity to generate my emotion of 1B. Help me open a direct conscious relationship with and gently remove the denied, dissociated and projected part of my mind.
Okay, so what this is, in 5A, we canceled the goal. But a lot of this is like we've seen with your family, it's a generational thing. And there have been studies done that we consciously only hold a maximum of 9 bits of information at a time in our conscious awareness. And so if this has been going on for 100 years or 1,000 years or whatever, at 9 bits at a time, we're never going to resolve it. But there is a feminine elemental force, just like wind, water, air, fire. There's an elemental force put in humans. In Aramaic, it's called Ruka Kudsha. It's been translated as the Holy Spirit. You can call it whatever fits for you. You can say, I invite love, I invite God, I invite spirit, whatever you want to call her, or you can put Ruka in there, because she can help you to undo the effects of your errors and teach you the truth if you invite her to. But, we have free will. And so that's why you have to cancel the goal first. You're holding this tightly in your hand. I want to be warmly embraced. And then you say, but spirit, take away this pain, but I'm going to hang on to this. It doesn't work that way. You have to cancel the goal, let it go first, and then ask spirit to take it, and she will. So that's why it's in that order, that first you cancel the goal, and then you invite spirit. And when I do worksheets, I'll put down, I invite Ruka to incline me toward healing, check mark. I invite Ruka to restore me to my newborn essence love, check mark. I invite Ruka to heal my denial, check mark. I invite Ruka to heal my capacity to generate the emotion of, and in this worksheet, it's anxiety or being anxious. And so you fill in that blank there. Help me, Ruka, to open a direct conscious relationship with and gently remove the denied, dissociated, and projected parts of my mind. In other words, we're holding in our own mind our reality. Mom didn't want me. This is her fault that I'm feeling this way. I'm never going to be loved. I'm never going to be accepted. And we hold all these thoughts. And it's like, Ruka, take these thoughts out. Take these thoughts away. Give me peace. And so it's this power that's been given us that will help us to move through this issue if we invite her to. That's why it says, I invite. It's kind of like, we used to have GPS systems that sat on the dashboard of the car. Now we use our phones. But if you say, okay, from point A to point B, give me directions how to get there. And the GPS says, this is the best and the easiest way to get there. But we have free will. It says to go down and turn on 1st Street. And we decide, nope, we're going to turn and go down 10th Street. It doesn't jump off the dashboard and beat us up because we chose to do something different. It'll wait, and in a little bit, it'll say recalculating, and then it'll tell us from where we are the best way to get there. Well, spirit's like that. We have a plan or a path.
Is
the
it like
easiest way.
spirit guides?
Huh?
Is it more like spirit guides?
It could be, if that's what you want to call it, but it's actually, and it's down at the bottom of the worksheet. If you have the actual worksheet, it has Ruka Kudsha is a feminine elemental force in humans that breaks off the effect of errors and teaches truth. A force for that which is proper for humans, the denial of which leaves us in unforgiveness. A lot of people preach the unpardonable sin, but what it is if you don't ask Ruka to help, the power is there. You've got the power in you. It's not an outside force somewhere. It's already inside of you. And if you invite her to help you, she will. But if you choose not to invite her and you're going to do it on your own, you're going to figure it out or whatever, then you're stuck in the path of not being able to forgive. Now, forgiveness is not letting another person off the hook or letting yourself off the hook. That's pardoning, which can be a good thing. Forgiveness is what we're doing right now. We're finding the goal, we're canceling the goal, we're resetting to love. And so if you don't invite spirit to help you, 9 bits at a time, you're not going to get through it, and you're going to be stuck in unforgiveness. It's not that it's something that you know, an unpardonable sin that you're going to be punished for, but it's just that you can't move forward with this on your own. We all need help. And so that's what Ruka is. And she's inside of us all the time, but we have to invite her to help. And so she can process it. And so we go through and we check all those off. You put in your blank, and everybody that's filling out a worksheet, put in what you said was your emotion up in 1B. You want to bring that down and put it in here because you want her to help you get rid of that emotion too. And breathe.
Are you breathing?
Double reminder.
All of these places where we have breathe, it's usually at a place, you know, where you're naming what you're feeling, you're naming your thought, you're naming your goal, you're canceling your goal. All of these places is usually where you're going to catch yourself subventilating. You're holding your breath. So that's why we have those little reminders all through the worksheet that says breathe, breathe. Okay.
Five C, I cancel my need to be right and make up another story out of my hidden corrupt data, hallucinating proof that my fear, hostility-based story, my reality is true. And breathe and soften.
Because what happens is, you know, we are so set that something outside of us is causing what we're feeling. And so you got to be aware and conscious, and you know, you might go through and cancel the goal for your mom to do this, and then all of a sudden you come up with, yeah, but George did this, or Mary did this, or, you know, you'll come up with another story that will back up that what you're feeling belongs to the cause is a trigger outside of you. And you can name 100 triggers to try to prove that your story's right. And we all do that. So when I say you, I mean all of us. And so this is, I canceled my need to be right and make up another story. And just check it off.
I don't know if this helps, but often my mind goes into the story of, but they have it, why shouldn't I? But so-and-so has it, I should have it.
Yeah.
And I go into all the reasons why it's a good goal to have.
Yeah.
Yeah, growing up, I used to look at my
And-
friends.
and-
He would have, sorry.
And it is a good goal. Remember, we're not asking anybody to cancel a goal because there's something wrong with the goal. The reason we're suggesting you cancel the goal is because when you put it into your mind, it becomes a driver that causes your mind to use this pained data to produce your mind's perception. So what we're doing by canceling the goal is collapsing the pained perception that's projected into your brain's image of someone else. When you collapse that pained perception, then you have the opportunity, because what comes up right beneath it is direct with data rather than project.
Michael, your voice is
So
cutting
you're only
out.
canceling the goal because it. Oh, okay. I'm out on the road, so I'm probably getting.
That's clear right there.
Okay. So the only reason that you're canceling the goal is because every time you load it in your mind uses something based in hostility or fear. And whenever the mind is using something based in hostility or fear, it's using corrupt data. You cancel the goal because that's the way you access the corrupt data. And by accessing it directly, while love is present, it begins to dissolve and you get free of it. I could just about guarantee that we could go back and get your mom's story and it would sound very much like your story. And we could get her power person story and it would sound just like your story. And we could get her power person story and it would sound just like your story. And if you don't do this work and you have children, then 50 years from now, we'll talk to your children and it'll be the same story. You're canceling the goal. It's a wonderful goal to have your mother. Yes, everybody should have that from their mother, and everybody should have that goal from their mother. But if I notice that when I load it in my mind, I go into pain, I need to clean up my pain. And this is how it's done. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Good. Seeing the word hallucinate, Yinka, maybe you'll put it in the chat for people to pick up. There's a gentleman, Anil Seth, ANIL SETH, Anil Seth, and he does a TED talk, and it's about how your brain hallucinates your reality. So it's a different perspective to see what we're saying, but it does. It's our brain will make up and hallucinate something, and we think it's true, we think it's right, and it's not.
Our brain paints a picture on the inside of our eyeballs, and we think that we're looking out into the world. Pictures you're looking at painted on the inside of your eyeballs are reflections of the content of your own mind. This is how you collapse into it directly and bring healing to it. And if you need to hear that piece of information a few times before you really fully get it, I understand. It took me, literally, it took me 35 years working directly with the Aramaic to understand that one piece of information out of the mouth of Yeshua from 2,000 years ago. So if it takes a little while to get that one, you know, don't be concerned about it. It took me 35 years.
Okay, next one.
So what I now feel, and 6B that about #1C that.
Okay, so at this point, we're going to stop for just a second, and I want you to do those last two steps, even though we walked through them and did a lot of explaining. So first, you're going to cancel your goal to be warmly embraced and cancel your goal to be wanted, and then ask Rika to help you. Take a deep breath and then say how you feel.
Easy.
Pardon?
Easy.
Easy? All right, and looking back in 6B, well, looking, and oh, and about 1, I see. So looking back up, and, you know, Michael kind of explained your mom, you know, and all the chaos and everything, you might see, oh, you know, she was disconnected from her parents. She was disconnected from her siblings. She's so disconnected, she doesn't know how to embrace me warmly. You know, you might see that. Or you might see, you know, it's because you mentioned earlier, it's not just your mom that you've experienced with other people, them creating chaos and pulling you, you know, emotionally, it pulls you out of your calm space. You allow it to, it doesn't do it, but, and so there's several things you might see there. There's no right or wrong answer. Sometimes you're doing a worksheet and you might get there and you said you feel easy. You might feel, you know, okay, I see the light at the end of the tunnel, or I feel neutral. And then sometimes you might do a worksheet and you started out writing about being anxious. And now you're actually, I feel pissed off because I see that I repeat this all the time, you know, and then there's your next worksheet on the pissed off part, you know, or I might be sad because this is a pattern in my life. Then that's your next worksheet on the sadness. So there's no right or wrong answer when you get to 6. It's how you truly feel. Okay.
And breathe.
Okay.
The principle of the universe is that by giving, I first get the original. I am grateful for the opportunity to heal. I choose truth and perfect love. 1C based on free from love, I structure a goal toward you and offer to you. Breathe, be love, cleanse, and breathe in oxygen.
Now, at the beginning, when you were talking about, you kind of gave your mother back a little bit of what she was giving you and how you felt physically. So that's this, that you get the original. So you may have given some of the anger or whatever to her, but you got the physical pain from it. So you want to look at this. Okay, I'm grateful for this opportunity, Mom, that you're giving me. I choose truth. I choose perfect love. And now you're going to look at your goal to be warmly embraced by your mom. And you're going to structure a goal toward her, toward your mom, and offer to her. Now, it doesn't mean she may never know about this. It might be something like, I'm going to hold the space for you that you can learn to be embraced. And she may never know that. It's something that you're setting toward her, not that you're asking from her. So what kind of goal out of love could you structure toward your mom?
Oh, this is a difficult one.
Okay, we'll take a breath.
Because right now I don't even feel like I want to talk to her. Like,
You don't
I-
have to talk to her. This could
So
be
that's your punishment.
energetic. Go ahead, Michael.
So that's your punishment. Are you ready to stop playing the game your power person played and stop punishing?
oh, there's so much resistance just thinking about this.
Yes, that's it. You got it. So
I
in
don't-
Aramaic, you know what the word is? The proper translation of the word resistance is? It's Satan.
It's what?
Satan.
Satan.
Satan. Okay.
Satan, one who misleads. So notice you want to do to her what she wants to do to you. So if you give that to her, which, looking at the circumstances, I have every right to, then you're just giving more of the same to yourself. Can you grow big enough? And I heard you refer to this earlier and you sounded really sincere that, and notice the shift. There's more energy up that you're processing, and that's what puts you into resistance to offering this love. But notice about maybe 15 or 20 minutes back, you were ready to just fully embrace her and bring healing to her. And now another piece of your mind in need of healing is surfacing. And that's what happens with this tool.
I think as much as I want to build that with her, I kind of have some sort of resentment that's stopping me from, or also because I've done it so much that I know if I start talking to her again, she's going to still create the same thing and I'm going to be disappointed is the feeling I get.
Yeah.
Like
So
if I
notice you still haven't learned that you're the one that's creating the pain. You're giving her the power to create pain in you. And she does not have that power.
Yes.
Only you have that power, and you're doing it to yourself again.
So what you are saying is I give her the opportunity to create the same thing again so I can show up differently.
If you choose to.
So I could be grateful for the opportunity that she brings, whatever it triggers in me, so I can handle it differently this time.
So
I
you
can heal this part of me. I can heal this part of me.
Heal
and
this part. Got it.
Show up
I think,
differently.
yeah. Okay. Yeah. That is what my goal is. Yeah. To heal from it. Yes. So my goal for that would be, I structure a goal toward you and offer to you.
Let me give you a hint.
Yes.
Look at the goal in number 3 that you had for her and offer that to her. And when you
Oh,
offer that, and when you offer that to her, when you
okay.
sincerely offer that to her, you'll get it.
Yes. So I can give her, so that I can practice self-regulation.
No, we changed it.
My calm.
We changed it to be warmly embraced.
Yes. So I can warmly embrace her in that moment.
And
It's going
yourself.
to take a new level of power, isn't it?
I am kind of still lost here a little bit.
Good, good. That's called the healing process. Remember earlier you said, I'm willing to go through the physical, mental, emotional symptoms for healing. On a mental level, healing looks like any kind of negative thought you've ever had and confusion. So notice both of those things are showing up. That's what healing looks like. It looks like any kind of negative emotion you ever felt and depression. That's what healing looks like. Looks like any kind of physical symptom you've ever had and low energy. That's what healing looks like. Almost everybody wants healing, but nobody wants to go through the process because you have to face and process out the energies that went into you in the first place. So if you could truly sit in a meditation and totally and completely embrace her, you'd receive that embrace. She wouldn't, but you would. And she would get the side effects of it, which she may very well notice.
And the goal you're setting in 7, you might choose to do that in her presence, but it's for you. So like Michael said, you could sit in a meditation by yourself and embrace her mentally, emotionally, imagine her being there and embracing her. It may be something that you share with her, and it may be something you keep to yourself. This is for you. This goal is for you.
And you want to make sure that you carry it out toward her.
And breathe.
I think what happens is I go back into here.
Yeah, that's what we all do.
That's
Yeah.
called the healing process.
And that's why that one step said that I cancel my need to make up another story. Your mind just immediately pops in, okay, let's make up another story about this one. So yeah.
And my mind is like, do you really want to do this? Like, do you want to put yourself through this again? Your mother's gonna do this again with you, and you're gonna be super upset again. And like,
Yeah, so notice your whole conversation's back how this is all about mom doing it to you. To your heart. You are in this pain because this pain is in you. It has nothing to do with your mother. Notice you have other people you blame for it as well. This isn't about your mother. This is about you. This is about what you do to you. In your mother's presence, who are the other people you've done it with? Boyfriend, girlfriend, close friend, enemy. This is for you, about you. This isn't about your mother. This is about how your mind builds its perception. And if you're ever going to change it, then you're going to have to own it. Notice that your mother's not even here and doesn't even know we're having this conversation. And you're still doing it to yourself. She's not even in the room. And all you have to do is imagine it, and you can do it to yourself. You need to heal your mind. That's what this tool is about.
And you could do this same worksheet with the same goal to be warmly embraced, with the same anxiousness or sadness or whatever, but a different person. Like you could basically fill in the same information except change it from mom to Mary or Susie or George or my aunt or whoever. And it basically be the same goal and everything, and you cancel it and you go through it.
What is the meditation? Is there a guided one?
Oh, no, he was just saying like go inside and just, mentally imagine your mom being there and you embrace her and stay connected to the love that you are. And imagine in your mind that you're showing her what a warm embrace looks like. Maybe she's never had one. She may not know how to give you one because she's never had one. So in your mind and in your time, just being in that peaceful, connected space, imagine giving her a warm embrace and teaching her what a warm embrace feels like.
Sounds good. I think I can do it.
I know you can. I know you can.
And Michael, you can't see her, but she's got an awesome smile on her face right now.
Oh, cool. It can be done. And there'll be other layers of this to come up. Remember what it feels like and what the experience is to go through, allowing the space for those energies to come forward and to keep moving toward the love, keep moving toward embracing yourself.
And is there anything that I can do as a parent? Because I'm a parent too. And if I want to create, other than this healing, is there any other tips or hints that you would want to give for me being a parent?
Well, one of the things,
Well,
go ahead.
No, you go ahead, Sue.
I was just going to say, we raised our granddaughter. We've had her since she was 3 months old. Her mom and dad were both off work for 3 months with her. And then once they went back to work, we got her 3 days a week and the other grandparents got her 2. And then the next week we'd have her 2 and they'd have her 3. So for 5 years. And some of the things that we have taught her is that she is love. We'll say, why are we here? To be love. I mean, anybody ask her, why are you here? She'll say, to be love. And another thing we teach her is that our words tell the universe what to give us, and sometimes we'll say like, don't fall down the steps. Well, your focus is on falling down the steps, even though you said don't. And so when something like that is said, she'll say, cancel that thought. So she's learning these things even at 5. And she amazes me. The other day I was taking her home and I said, oh, look at that beautiful sunset. She goes, Nini, the sun's not setting. The earth is turning away from the sun. And it was like, oh my goodness. So she is so far advanced than a lot of children, just working with them with the tools. If you go to our website under My Commitment, there are commitments for children. So they're written simpler. There's also on the website, if you go to the worksheets, click on Start Here and then scroll down and it'll say various worksheets. And you can click on that. And there are some that are taken out of a book called Healing Children, Loving Children. Julie, that wrote the book based on this work, was a school teacher and taught kindergarten first graders. And so it starts out like there's the simplest worksheet that a kindergarten first grader could fill out. And then she titles them, Work It Out with Your Friend. And so there's 1 through 7, and they get a little more complex as you go, number 2 is more complex than 1 and so forth. So teach them worksheets. The Dragon Klingon game is for children of any age, but it's on their app on your phone. You can download Heartland Aramaic Forgiveness. It's free. And there is a Dragon Klingon game that teaches them how to, what's the emotions, what is it that you want? And, what are you feeling? And it walks them through all that. And it's like a game. They get points for answering. And there's a dragon that growls at them when they release the feelings or whatever. So you can teach them the game too. And they can learn forgiveness at an early age and be the example.
And if you'd like a really broad picture of what else you can do, what I would suggest you do is you go to our website, whyagain.org, and there's a microphone in the middle of the page. Click on the microphone, and that'll take you to the archive. The radio show has been going on 5 days a week, an hour a day, for just over 12 years now. If you go back to the very first radio show 12 years ago and start listening and listen to every show from 12 years ago up to today, I'll do nothing else than tell you what else you can do. All the instructions are there. Start listening, put it to work.
And the instructions for calling in, 5 days a week, you can call in and ask questions. And we've actually just started using a thing called Podbean. And so if you're in another country, you can actually tap into the show through Podbean. You don't have to dial in. It doesn't take minutes or anything like that. Of course, if you're on your computer, you can tap into Blog Talk in the chat room even, and it won't cost you, cell minutes or anything. So there's several ways, and all of that is under that. If you click that microphone, it tells you how you can connect. And we're there to answer questions 5 days a week.
Just to share as well, the books that I use at the book club for the children were recommended from Jeanie and Michael. And I bought my son the collection. I wasn't planning on doing the book club for children. And he absolutely adored them, to the point where somebody asked him what he wanted for Christmas. And he wanted another collection of the books. So he's
That's
got
awesome.
collections of it now.
Yeah, that was another thing that we had started with her was actually the movie Inside Out. It's a cartoon. And it's all the little things, all the voices in your head, the anger, the fear, and all those things. They're all in the head, and the joy. And so Aria has the dolls, and she's got the little balls that are emotion balls. And one day she was just giving her mom and dad a hard time, and they were like, "What is going on?" And she said, "I've got all these emotions." She wasn't real sure how to explain it, but she was just full of emotions and didn't know what to do with them.
And they've also
And
got
if
a
you're-
gratitude book as well, that the same book, so they've got a gratitude book where you can write in each day.
Yes, she's
Yeah.
got that too. It's
And
the
if you're ready to
Grateful
really
Journal.
take what you're working on here, I would offer. This is all power person stuff. This is all codependent stuff. And I mean, you're embarking on a major healing journey.
Yep.
And if you really want to take it to the next level and you really want to do your work around it, we do have a self-study, codependence to interdependence communication practice. There are 90 hours of video work. There is a psychological evaluation that you do when you start and you do when you finish. That gives you feedback on where the blocks are in your mind and assignments for dealing with them. You might want to go ahead and sign up for that self-study course and start to work with those videos. There are 90 hours, and we go through the workshop, why is this happening to me again, healing through relationships, codependence to independence, mind shifters, still point breathing, and communication. Did you hear what I think I said? I mean, you're saying what you want is a PhD in healing codependence. And if you're ready to really go for it, take it to the next level. And I hear you saying you've got motivation from the previous generation mom and your children, the next generation, then I would suggest, strongly urge you to go ahead and start on that course, register that, start on that. That will give you a PhD in healing codependence.
Thank you.
All right.
And right now we're doing a study on the Aramaic. So if you listen to the archives or you dial in live or whatever, the Enlightenment book is from the Khaboris manuscript. And so we're on like we did a pre-recording today since Michael's driving, and a pre-recording tomorrow. But we're doing a study on the Aramaic and the differences and what Yeshua really said. So I've seen a lot of little buttons pop up down at the chat. Do we have questions we need to answer, or were you able to get them, Yinka?
Yeah, we'll probably have to go through them. I'm just sharing because you now put the alignment videos on YouTube.
Yes.
Yeah, so I'll share that as well for those that want to go back and watch it. Because I know in the UK it's dinner time for us here, so I've been watching their repeats on YouTube. We flip through, see what messages. Is that the last slide then? Yeah, it is. Yeah. So I'll stop sharing and then we can see. I'm not sure if some of the answers were actually answered going through the worksheet. I know some that had questions.
Oh, okay.
Did anyone want to ask a question? Maybe that'd be easier than go searching through.
Yeah, maybe just get people to put their hands up.
Yeah, if you raise your hand and the emojis, then I can see. I'll unmute you to ask a question. Can I just say thank you to Nina for going through that, because that was really helpful for myself, as Michael and Gina knows that I've been having issues with my parents. So that's been really, I've got so many notes. So thank you.
You're very welcome. Pleasure's all mine. Thank you, Michael and Nick. This was amazing. I had been looking forward to the session from like 10 days ago.
Oh.
You want to come prepared, and I know that I absolutely needed some help and direction in this.
Oh. Well, thank you for
Awesome
your
work, Jeanie, and-
willingness.
Yes. One of the things I would suggest you do now, because with what we've just gone through, you'll solidify a lot of the learning by going back and watching the "Why is this happening to me again" video again.
Okay.
So I'd suggest you do that as soon as you can, because it'll solidify a lot of what we've said. You're building new brain cells for literally developing the ability of your mind to build totally different perceptions than the ones your family system has and your culture has taught you. And this will just take it to a whole nother level if you watch that
I will.
video again.
I actually have it in another window, so I will continue watching that.
Perfect. Awesome.
Thank you.
Several people have mentioned your smile, so that's awesome.
Thank you.
Did anybody have a question? If you either hit the emoji or raise your hand.
Or does anybody have any extra answers?
If you hit the emoji, if you've got a question, or put it in the chat. Is it Corey? Did you have a question? Let me unmute. Did you have a question?
Yeah, I had that put in the chat, but because now I'm tired and so I'm later than you all. So, but the question was, the one thing was when Jeanie said, oh, I don't know if I can concentrate, but she said something so important that she is she's doing the same that her mother does to her.
Yeah.
And that, so yeah, how can I, that means I'm doing, so I'm feeling, in my case, in that worksheet, I felt unloved, not wanted, and what I did to my mother was, or to my boyfriend, I have sent him innerly away. I thought it's better that he leaves because that was so painful. And then that happened. And that was I think that was my punishment or something like that was my, in that time, in that moment was the only thing I I was so helpless I could do to really innerly send him away, not by saying, but that there was really strong innerly desire that he shall leave. And is that,
So who left you?
yeah, and that happened.
But think back, was it a parent? What power person gave you the message that the way to solve the issue was to leave? Or who pushed you away? Who taught you that? You learned that from somebody to push a person away, make them leave, or you leave, or withdraw. Who'd you learn that from?
I think that that I innerly left, that I left my parents. I never thought I was the one who left them. And I think I left them, and
Take a breath.
it's I never thought that way about my parents. I thought the opposite.
We won't get into it, but on the website, there is a section on stress and on our power person. And a power person, someone, usually a parent, who had more power over you than you did, and were not functioning as love, and you felt like your survival depended on, pleasing them or whatever. And depending on your stress level, you will move from just being pleasing to them, to resisting them, to whatever they did. And if what they did was emotionally withdraw, then that's what you'll do. If what they did was, scream and yell, that's what you'll do. So what it is as a young child, you learn, okay, this person's like God and my survival depends on them. And that's how they won over me. So that's what I do when I'm ultra stressed to win in the situation. And it's not something that we decide or cognitively think, okay, this is what I'm going to do, but it's what we learned. And so we automatically do it until we can change that.
Yeah.
When under extreme stress, everybody does what their power person did to them that they hated the most. And I'll offer that is what runs the world. When there's little or no stress, we'll do what we did to get along with our power person. This is called the automatic decision system in the mind. When stress starts to build, we'll do what we did to resist and survive with our power person. This is like the core of the codependence intensity. And then when we become ultra stressed, we'll do what our power person did to us that we hated the most. And that runs, I don't care whether you're thinking of religions or churches, whether it's governments, businesses, families, communities. That is what runs virtually every mind in the world. Until one recognizes that power person dynamic, goes in and forgives that dynamic, it runs their lives. And the level of stress they're under determines what behavior they do.
Mm.
And it doesn't matter how many times I say to them, well, I'm never going to do that again. And people say it and they mean it. I'm never going to do that again. And they don't until they get to that level of stress again. The automatic decision kicks in and says, oh, this is what my power person did. So in order to win, so that's now what I am forced by my mind to do.
And I think the root was that I wanted, like Nina, I wanted to get loved, to show that I'm lovable, or that I get attention and love, and that did not And that is that the root of that my behavior, that I punished them then like in that way?
So have you put those goals on worksheets and done those worksheets yet?
She's nodding her head.
Then that's your next assignment. To start sincerely doing those worksheets around that very issue. And that's how you'll resolve that.
So to choose a goal about not about them, but about me, what I can do.
Well, it's like Nina did her worksheet on wanting to be embraced warmly and to feel accepted and wanted. So you could do the same kind of worksheet like we did with her. And, you could name 10 different people up as the object, whether it was your boyfriend or your parents or whoever, and that you wanted that same thing from them. And then you go through and cancel that goal, and you'll see what's underlying it, where your belief is that you can't have it or don't deserve it. And notice there's kind of a split, that you wanted your boyfriend to embrace you warmly and all of that, but you sent him away. So how can you get that if you tell him to leave? So it's kind of like, come here, no, go away type thing.
Yeah,
It's called
there's-
crazy making.
fear, that is a fear. Yeah,
So there, I get those goals, get them down on worksheets and start doing those worksheets.
I
There's
see.
your next piece of work.
I did that the same time as Nina did it, but
Good.
it's
And
more,
it'll take more than one, because it's probably been a lifetime of building it. And so it'll take more than one worksheet to take it back down.
Yeah.
Stay with it.
thank you very much.
Somebody asked where the worksheets are. Yinka, can you put the link to?
Yeah. The links in already. So all the links that I've been sharing in, that
Okay, awesome.
I'll just reshare it, copy and reshare it. If you,
And someone had asked how you could, in a meditation, embrace somebody and feel embraced yourself. I don't know if our explanation about that earlier answered that question, but like if you just close your eyes and imagine that person being there and you're embracing them in true, just bringing them into your love, like what we say, because love is not something you do to another person, but it's who you are. So you can say, I open my being to embrace you in my love. And you just imagine in your mind's eye, bringing that person in and just giving them a warm, loving embrace. You get the original. So when you're imagining giving that to, whether it's a parent, a boyfriend, or whoever, you're actually getting the original of that loving embrace.
And most minds would say, well, why would I do that to them? They deserve my rage. And I say, well, I saw what they did to you and it really was terrible. I agree. They deserve your rage. However, remember, you get the original of what you dish out. So the question isn't, do they deserve your rage? The question is, do you deserve your rage? If you don't, then you've got to stop raging, because you get the original of that, and it's yourself that you'll destroy.
And I'm not sure where it went because there's a lot in the chat, but I had seen someone ask, is it just accepting them the way they are and accepting yourself the way you are? No, some people do some crazy things and they may need to be held accountable for whatever they're doing. And there may be a time in your life where, especially like, if you're in a relationship with someone and it's not safe physically for you to choose, I'm going to remove myself and go somewhere else, but you got to keep doing your work around it or you'll create someone else to do the same thing again. But no, it's not accepting them the way they are. They may be horrible and terrible, and you need to remove yourself from them and hold the space for them to heal. But it doesn't mean you have to accept them or to lay down and be a rug for them to walk on. So I don't know if that answered that question, if somebody has a continued question in that regard.
Well, and I'll offer, that every time you say to yourself, when you're in upset, well, what do? You put the pen to the paper and you do a damn worksheet. I can't tell you how many times over the years people do this work and they'll get on the radio show or I'll have a session with them. They'll say, oh, this went on and this happened and this happened and this happened and then this happened and it was just terrible. I say, so how many worksheets have you done on that? Oh, well, I hadn't actually thought about doing that. Hello, put the pen to the paper and use the tool. That's what you do about it. And then when you finish doing that, you know what you do about it next? You do the next worksheet. And then you do the next worksheet and you do the next one until you're finished with those generational patterns.
I had worked with someone the other day, and he was saying that he was going to talk therapy. And I said, that's awesome to have somebody to talk it out. But I said, if you continually are only just telling your story, you're adding energy to those emotions and events. I said, you've got to have tools to remove it. You can't just talk about it. It's like, you know, I give the example of the trash in the kitchen needs to be taken out. Now it smells. I can go by there every few minutes and spray air freshener on it and can live with it. But eventually I've got to get rid of the garbage. And so that's, you know, you can do positive affirmations and, you know, go to a higher space and do all these things. But if you don't get in and use the tools and get rid of the garbage, it's going to continue to smell and you're going to continue to have to stay on top of it. And so it's a whole lot easier. Yeah, it takes effort, but it's a whole lot easier to get in there and do your work and get rid of it. Thank you, Corey. I appreciate you all letting me fill in for Michael. And thank you, Michael, for being there to add to.
Well, I'm glad the signal was good enough for me able to stay on and listen to the show and have some input too. It's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm going to say a massive thank you. If anybody else wants to unmute, I've just allowed you all to unmute if you want to say thank you to Jeanie, because you've done amazing.
Well, thank
Yes,
you.
thank you,
Loving the
Jeanie.
fact
It's
that you're
awesome.
both here.
You all
Awesome
make
work.
it easy.
Thank you so
Thanks.
much, Jeanie. Thank you so much, everybody. I
Thanks.
learned so much. Thank you.
Yeah,
Good.
thank you. You guys are amazing. Thank you.
Really,
Thank you.
really.
I'm just going to leave music playing us out.
So just one other thought on that amazing comment, by the way. Remember, it's all done with smoke and mirrors.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
you
who
all
you're
make
really
it
looking
easy.
at is the amazing you.
Say that again. Sorry, I missed that bit. Let's put something in the chat.
All right, lessons, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye. Thank you so much.